All right, I'm just gonna take it in a relaxed way. It's so easy to get anxious about recording a video that you actually don't even bother to record the video. But I want to make a demonstration of assembling one of my Oneshirts so that I can share it with my students. All right, here they are. Okay, so step number one in assembling the Oneshirt is to put together your pockets. Because this fabric is batik, it means that it's the same on both sides, and so I don't need to worry about having them face each other properly. But of course, if I were doing this for real, I'd make sure to have, doing it with fabric that only had one side, this is for real, I'm gonna wear this, I'd make sure that the facing, the pretty part, were touching each other. And I don't actually really use pins a lot anymore because I just have gotten so comfortable. But in this case, I want to show you, I'd pin it here and I would pin it again where I plan to stop, roughly about here. And so I'm going to stitch my about 1/2 inch seam allowance from here to here. Speaking of which, I should probably turn my machine on to make sure that it's ready to go. And then I'm also going to do the same with the other pocket. And after I get this seam allowance stitched in, I'm going to serge the edge. So that means I need to, that's my sewing machine starting up. Means I need to make sure and get my serger powered on too, because I'm going to do both of them. All right, so now I'm going to give it a try and see what happens if I put the camera in position so that you can kind of see what I'm sewing. That might work. All righty, you'll notice that I put the pins in going perpendicular to the direction of travel because I want to be able to stitch over them if I need to. The other thing is, you'll notice I'm lining it up with this line right here. I'm doing about a 1/2 inch seam allowance as opposed to 5/8. Who even came up with the 5/8 idea? That's such a random number. And so I'd rather just do 1/2 inch and keep track of it that way. All right, so let's get going here. And of course, sewing through a camera is a little bit trickier than what I'd thought. But always edit this when I'm done. Right, and then this machine has a handy clip feature. So in fact, that's all unclipped. And I'm going to take those pins out because I don't want to serge over them. And I'll do the same for this one here. And the reason that I'm just stitching this first little distance on the pocket is because this particular pattern is one where I can stitch the pockets in a straight line across the opening. In the pattern that you might have gotten from me, you're in fact going to be stitching the edge of the pocket to the edge of the opening, but I'll have to make that video another time. All right, so now I'm going to move over to my serger, which is this machine right here, but my camera on the lamp can't quite go that far, so I'm just going to let you enjoy the sound of me serging. It will be not the sound of silence, it will be the sound of not silence, but I'm just going to serge right over the place where I already stitched. All right, and I'm also going to get out my chatelaine, which is basically this setup of scissor, seam ripper, and razor blade, because I need to clip apart the places where I serged it one after the other. So now I have this all serged and ready to go. Let's bring this back over to here. Now you get a nice shot of my lap every time I do that. All right, so I have already started by just using iron tape to keep these together. I'm not sure that I'm going to do that a ton in the future, but it was a good way to sort of get this started. And now I'm going to actually just clip this little corner that is in between the front and the back of the pocket. This is the pattern where the front and the back are all one piece. If you're using my pattern, the front and the back are two separate pieces because it takes away kind of a bit of the hip poof, which makes the pattern, in my opinion, a little bit less accessible to most people. Works great for me, but I get it that it doesn't work for everybody. All right, and bring back over my pincushion. I did buy this pincushion when I was in Switzerland, so that's why it has a little chalet design. 2 pins wouldn't be useful. And so I am putting this pocket edge right along the opening, all in one piece. And I'm making sure, even though it's batik, I'm making sure that the seam facing in, the seam facing out, I'm pointing, let's see, nope, it needs to point in this direction. I'm pointing the allowance towards the back because this, the narrower piece, is the back piece. And yeah, so I am going to just pin each of these down and kind of get it spread out here. And then I like to sew this one from this side so that I can be sure to sew around that spot where I clipped it. Let me show you that again. So if this is the face, which we know because there's the seam with the extra bit of fabric, and this is the back over here and this is the front over here, then right where the two pieces come together, it's kind of a little V, and I'm going to clip down a little ways into that V, and then I'm going to take my pocket piece, which I stitched like this, and I'm going to open it all the way up, and I'm going to stitch this across. Okay, this is always the issue. Where is the pincushion? It's in here somewhere. There we go. All right. Again, making sure that the seam allowance points towards the back and that that little V stitch is right on the seam. All right. And here we go. And in this case, I'm just going to pin it 3 times because I'm pretty experienced with this, but you may end up deciding to pin it more. All right, bring us back over to the sewing machine. I know it's kind of a bit at an angle, but that's the angle that worked for me. And again, I'm using about a 1/2 inch of a seam allowance here. Get this long edge of the pocket stitched on to both the front and the back. So I'll end up making another video where I do the pocket to the front and the back, and so you can see right here I'm being careful to go around the bottom of that little slit right before I continue on my way. And you'll notice that I haven't knotted the ends of my stitches yet because I really haven't had anything where I'm stopping in an important spot. So I could touch the knot button here, but I'm just going to touch the cut button there and run this one through as well. Oh, that's the back. And I want to do the front, well, not really front or back, but I want to do the side where I can really see the slit. And so that I can go right around that, the bottom edge of that slit, which I think was easier to see when there was a contrast between the pocket and the fabric. In this case, on this particular side, the pocket and the fabric match. All right, and so now I'm going to finish up by serging all along this top edge, and that will essentially finish the pockets.